Good morning, everybody. My name is Evie Barbeau. I'm the programs manager for Partners in Food and Farming, and we are hosting this session along with the DFFS, Diversified Food and Farming Systems department in Purdue. And today we're welcoming Dr. Maria Marshall to share um, her expertise in farm business planning and walk us through how to use the Inventure Business Planner, which is a farmer-friendly software. So I have a couple announcements, I guess. Really just one announcement to start us off with. First, I want to shout out our next event, which will be next Tuesday, the 18th at Teeter Organic Farm. Shout out to Katie, who's on the call. And we'll be hosting a farmer panel on hiring and management strategies. So, sort of, if you're considering bringing crew on to your farm, what that can look like, what you need to have in place before you do that. I think it's going to be a really awesome event. So, if you are in the Indiana area, specifically in the central area, we would love to see you there. Portia, did you want to do a quick announcement, or not announcement, but introduction, since you're also with PIF?
Hello, everybody. My name is Portia McGuire. I'm a farmer first and foremost. I specialize in medicinal and culinary herbs up in Mirabel, Indiana. Shiloh Divine Farms is my farm. I am also will be stepping in soon as executive director of Partners in Food and Farming. So I look forward to seeing you guys in other spaces. And thank you guys for coming. I hope you find the information useful. I've utilized this tool myself and referred it to other people. So I hope it's something that you find useful as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Portia. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Marshall.
Great, thank you, and welcome everybody. So I'm Maria Marshall. I'm a professor in the Department of Agricultural Economics, and I have a research extension appointment. And this tool that I'm going to talk about today is something that I developed. I won't say how many years because then I'm going to age myself. Stop doing that now. Years ago, and then several years ago, then we retooled it and kind of put it up to date. Let's say the coding had gone stale. And so we kind of updated a little bit and we made it bilingual. So it was first only in English and now you can actually change the language to do it Spanish. Some of the things I'll show you are still in English, but the main part of it is in Spanish if somebody does need it in Spanish. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and it's going to look a little different because I'm just going to share my one screen so that I can go from the PowerPoint to then go into the business planner. So it won't be the big screen PowerPoint. I'm just going to use like kind of the notes portion so that I can go back and forth without spending too much time trying to travel and toggle between them. So let me see, desktop one, share. So hopefully what now you're seeing is my screen with the kind of business planner PowerPoint on one side and then the business planner on the other. Thumbs up? Perfect. Okay, great. So let me just put this in the forefront. So I'm going to talk to you today about the Inventure Business Planner, and I'm very happy that there are other people from other states on this call. This is a business planner. It's online. It is free. It's available to all. We've actually used it with smaller food companies all around the world. It is, I could definitely say it's a national and a global business planner. And what got me thinking about this was when I was working on business plans. I know that that's sometimes people want to do, and they don't want to kind of spend time writing a business plan up, that it can be kind of tedious. But then I realized, the process of business planning is beneficial to anyone that's starting or in a business by the process of thinking through the steps that you need to do to get started, right? So who are your customers? Why do you want to do it? What are your goals? Those are the things that actually are the beneficial parts. It's not so much the long sentences and things like that. And that's what the business planner does. So I had an idea after doing my taxes, and TurboTax, right, asks you a whole bunch of questions, and you kind of put the information in there to take a TurboTax approach to business planning. So it asks you questions, kind of prompts you so you can think these through. And that's the real benefit of business planning is just this thought process. So I thought I'll just talk a little bit about the business plan and try to guide you through. And hopefully I'll pause to see if you guys can go in, register, log in and start it and see how things are working. All right, so the website for the business planner is right on your screen, www.purdue.edu/newventure. And let's see, Evie, could you put the link in the chat? That way people can kind of click right to it. So I would ask you to go to the business planner and go ahead and launch your browser, whatever browser it is. It should work with all the browsers. And put in the business planner new venture. It should take you to the page that you're seeing now and ask you to sign in. Unless you've already used it before, then you can log in. So I'll pause for a few seconds to give people a chance to go online. Besides the Zoom that you're already online with.
And also, oh, just real quick, if you have questions, I'll be monitoring the chat and we'll take moments to sort of ask Dr. Marshall feedback.
Perfect. Thank you, Evie. Perfect, because I can't do that and monitor this at the same time. A little too much. So this is the page you'll see. You can click on sign up. And the minimum things that you have to do to be able to register is to put your first name and last name, choose a username, have a valid email, and then it's going to ask you to solve this problem, which is a little bit of a math problem to make sure you're not a robot, right? Because as every other thing on the internet, things get hacked. And so we started trying to put things to make sure that we didn't have robots and things like that. The other thing I guess I'm going to say is that I cannot see your business plan. Neither can anybody. And on my page, when we go in and kind of look, you'll see that I have an admin page. What I can help you is I can look and see how many people have registered and how long they're on it, just because that helps me evaluate the tool. But I cannot see your business plan at all. So that is safeguarded. It's for you. Nobody else can see it but you or whoever else you give your username and password to. But sometimes we get that question. It's a free planner, but we cannot see your business plan. So after you register, you should then, I'm going to actually diminish this one because that's all right. It'll ask you for a password for you to decide on a password. It'll have to be 8 characters long, have 3 of the 4 things. We all know kind of the, passwords needed. So make sure you write down the password if you don't forget it. Although if you do forget it, you can just reset your password. Say you forgot it and it'll allow you to reset a password as any software will usually do. Once you're through registering and I've chosen a password, this is the page that you should get to. It'll say your business plans. And it should say no data available in the table if you've never been on it before because you don't have any plans yet. Once you do have plans, they start to look like this. You'll see I have testing plans and things like that. And it'll start to show. I'm going to put the little box of people on the side there so we're not seeing me talk at the same time as well on the other screen. You'll see once you start working on these plans, you'll see that you'll have a list of business plans. You can have as many as you'd like. So I always caution you not to delete a business plan. You can copy it. You can edit it if you want to. For example, this provides you financials. So if you wanted to say, well, I want to do some sensitivity analysis. What if I change the number of products or what if I change the price of the products? You can just copy your plan and then go straight to the financials and change those things there. So that's perfectly okay to do. I'm always like, well, it's better not to delete something unless you really want to delete it. So it's not going to tell you that you've got too many plans. So you might as well just copy or edit and just leave whatever plan you have there. So that is what you'll see. So to create a new plan, you just need to click New, and it'll ask you to name the plan, as you can see here. That's kind of the minimum you need. If you leave everything else blank, you'll see here, you'll just get a comma and then nothing else, right? This testing. Otherwise, if you fill in, let me go to edit plan. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. If you click on the plan and say edit cover sheet, you'll see here, I've got the name of the plan, the name of the business, the date. So if you want to do different plans and want to have different dates associated with what you're doing, you can put in a date. The executive chief officer, and then the title, and as much information as you want. The minimum I would request that you put is the name of the business plan. That way you know which plan you're talking about. And it could be pre-something or pre-seasonal, whatever you'd like to call it. And then click update. So in order to edit the cover sheet, you have to click on these here. As you can see, you can just click and say copy, and there it is. I just copied the plan. Okay. Any questions so far, Evie? Everybody follow me along so far?
No questions that I've seen. Yeah.
So like I said, you can click new and you'll get a new plan. You'll get the cover sheet. You can put the name of the cover sheet and it will appear. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. So like I said, create. You'll get to, once you create the plan, let me do new and say BIFF. Put in today's date and do create. You'll see it'll get you, you'll start on the first page of the business plan for that date. Sorry, that you just started. The plan, as you can see, has 6 steps. It has the fundamental of your business. This is basically what we would call the back of the napkin approach. If you got no further, it would ask you these some basic questions. Then it'll start getting into more detail, like analyzing your market, producing your product or service, marketing your product or service, the financial analysis of your business, and then an executive summary. What's nice about the planner is that it's going to ask you things. It'll go through these stages, but then when you actually generate a report, it's going to put them in the portions of the business plan where they belong. So let's say if I just generate a report now without having done anything in the business planner, it's just going to have the headings of a business plan with it blank. So you would just have basically just a table of contents for your business plan. If I just went to generate report, which will put it in a Word format for you. As you go along through these stages, you can click here and it'll get you, and I'll do that eventually, but you'll see it has the fundamental of your business, which is the first stage. It'll ask you, why do you want to begin this venture? What product or service will you market? Who are your customers? What minimum sales volume must you achieve? That's the break even, right? That's the break even question there. And after that, it'll do a stage assessment. Basically, it's the getting you to stop to think about your answers that you've been providing the business planner throughout. As you can see here, that's the fundamentals of your business, the first day. As you click along, it'll say, oh, you've changed things in that process. So you can track where you've been. So you don't have to do this in a kind of just a straight line. So you can say, well, I have information on analyzing my market or my market characteristics, or I've got information on my industry, but now I want to work a little bit more on who are my customers. So you can go around and it'll tell you where you've changed. It'll check mark where you've changed and whether you've completed the whole stage or the questions. So when you click on the question, so for the first question was, why do you want to begin this venture? It will show you this square, And because I know sometimes it's hard to get like have a blank document, we actually started a sentence, right? So the first sentence you'll see is, with this venture, I would like to accomplish the following goals. So you don't see anything that's blank. It always has something to get you started. What you'll also see is on the left-hand side, you'll see things to consider, some examples and resources to be able to answer those questions. The things to consider are kind of thought-provoking questions to help guide your answers. So it'll ask you, why, what are my reasons for developing this enterprise? What are the benefits to me and my family? Where do I see myself, my family business in 5 years? How will I measure success? So it's things to kind of get you started. If you're like, I don't know how to answer this question, or I don't know what I should be thinking of to answer this questions, it'll give you those things. That's those things to consider. The resources are short extension publications that provide more in-depth information. So linked to this first stage is this defining your business through goals and objectives, first steps for new entrepreneurs, which tells you about defining goals, setting up goals, what's the importance of goals and objectives. So short publication to actually also provide you with help to be able to answer those things. As you move from stage to stage, you want to make sure to save your work. And you can use the buttons to say previous, main menu, save, and next. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the first stage, which is that first question. And you can see exactly what I was showing you in the PowerPoint, which is here are the questions in the blocks. Here are your things to consider, the example, and resources. And I can go right in here and say, with this venture, I want to accomplish the following goals. Work with my family, maybe one of the goals that I want to accomplish. And I'm not just putting in there when we actually ask in several of our surveys, what are some of the most important business goals for people? And some people say working with their family is their most important business goal. Sometimes it's actually the number one answer is usually a positive reputation with customers, then profit, and then working with family and keeping the business in the family. So as you go, you can fill these out. You can put in tables, all kinds of things that you see here that you would usually see in any Word document for that. You can see here, I can click on your goals. Here's those things to consider I was telling you about. Even here it says, what skills do you excel at? Your chances that you'll be doing a good job. So again, these things to consider. Here's just examples. And here are the different publications that would go with this. So that first question, you'll see is, why do I want to begin this venture? It'll ask you for your broad goals to keep you right to the destination, and then evaluate your strengths and weaknesses. So again, it helps you with this whole kind of first stages of starting your business, or even if you've been in business a while, kind of coming back to think about what are your vision and goals and how those might be changing as you get into business can be helpful. And like I said, here are the buttons to go to the main menu. So you can always return to the main menu, save. It'll ask you, do you want to save? Okay. And then go to next. So if I wanted to go to previous, I just go, see, it's asking me because I didn't save. If I want to save, press OK, and then it'll go to the previous button. So even if you forget to save, we've tried to make it so that it'll still ask you, yes, do you want to save before you go to the previous or next? So I was talking about the stage assessment. So when you finish any stage, you're going to get to a stage assessment. And we considered it kind of it's a great chance for you to think of it as a go, no go. And it's trying to gauge the confidence that you have in the answers you provided. The business plan is for you. So as long as you're happy with the quality of your answers, that's fine. But it is a way to say, oh, am I just, writing things in and I'm not being thoughtful about it? Or do I really have the confidence in moving forward? You can see it'll ask you, how confident are you that your product or service is better than those already in the market? So if you clicked low confidence, it will give you an answer like, oh, well, you probably should think about what really makes you unique. If you say very confident, it'll say, oh, it's good that that you're confident that your product and service is unique, right? So it'll give you a response no matter whether you put low confidence or high confidence or somewhere in between. But it's a good reminder to say, hey, am I actually putting in answers? Are my assumptions valid for those things? So every stage will have this kind of assessment for you to think about the quality of your answers and how you're filling in this thing. So it's not just going and going and going and not thinking through why you want to do something or the confidence you feel in all the answers, all the questions you're trying to answer.
Really quick, Maria, do you think you could like expand the PowerPoint a little bit more? The text is pretty small.
Oh, sure. Actually, why don't I go here and maybe this will be easier. Is this easier to see?
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger. Yeah, awesome.
I'm actually try to make this bigger too. So there it is, the PowerPoint. Hopefully it's a little bit bigger. Like I was saying, here's the questions. It's always kind of a good way to say it's a stop and think type of assessment, right? It's not a test because it's not going to go back to evaluate your answers, but it's a good reflection for you to think about, how well are you or do you think you're answering these questions? And you can see it here, right? The questions, and then we have what we call the must-meet criteria. So here it's asking, are your reasons for beginning your venture clear? Yes or no? How have you considered both your business and personal goals in planning your venture? Can you state why, if the market needs your product? Are you ready to dedicate your time, effort, and money to your new venture? Is it reasonably likely that your product can be produced? The last one is the venture legal? I guess that also makes sense that be yes or no. But it's about having you reflect on why you're, this kind of first stage, right? Every stage has its own, like the quality of your answers, and then this kind of the must meet criteria. And then it provides you some feedback after that. So why don't we go ahead and pause here? We wanted to make it interactive to see, to let you all at least answer that first page, which is this, why do you want to begin this venture? You can start typing in the very first question.
Are folks able to be on this page on your laptop, or is it sort of difficult to toggle between the Zoom and your web page? Gonna get like responses in the chat or like thumbs up, thumbs down.
And we knew it could be tough because if you're on a laptop, it's going to be a tiny screen.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm getting a few thumbs up, so that's awesome. Um, and this is all very editable. It sounds like you can go back, change it anytime.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, you can go back. Like you saw here, I said work with my family, and then I went back to the main menu and back to the question. I can edit this as many times as you like. You can go back and do that.
So this is sort of like the breaking the seal moment of like, all
Oh,
right.
right. Do not be afraid. You can go edit it. You can say boogla boogla boogla, and then, and then go back and edit it later as well. And if you have more than one business that you want to do, you can have as many business plans for as many businesses as you want to try. So it's like I said, you can have as many business plans as you'd like to have. And for those, as I'm waiting for people to type in, for those that would need it in a different language, you always see this language here at the top where you can switch to Spanish. So at any time you can go between Spanish and English. You can change your profile, you can have your business plans. The only thing you won't have that will be different is you won't have an admin on that top page.
And when folks feel like you're ready to move on, a thumbs up is great, or a little note in the chat is awesome.
That might be a little bit too much of, but as long to make sure that everybody can at least get through that first question. We're good? Okay. So let's say that you've gone through the plan or you just want to know where you are, what that looks like for you on your in your business plan. You can click on main menu. And here again, you'll see the generate report. This generate report, we'll put it in a Word format for you. Like I said, it'll, for example, the marketing stuff, you're like, who is your customer, will not appear like stage one. It'll appear in the marketing section. So if you generated a report, it'll just have like a table of contents. It would be blank if you hadn't done anything. And then as you're filling it, it'll start filling in on those questions. And what you'll have to do, you'll have to wordsmith it, obviously, right? Because you'll have different questions you've answered in different places that go together. But it's a great way to be like, well, where am I? Or, what is this starting to look like? And at any time, you can do this generate report and it'll put it in a Word format for you. As you can see here in my plan, remember I went to question 1 and question 2, and it gave me little check marks that I've been into those processes. We've looked at the assessment. I wanted to quickly just show you what the financials look like. I'm not going to ask you to do nothing, just so that you see what it looks like. When you go into the financials, it's going to ask you where you see yellow portions, that's where you can put in information. So it'll be product information. So obviously there's a lot of blah, blah, blah for you to read through, but it'll say, how many products will you sell? Well, let's say 1 and press refresh. Oh, there's already 1. Let me put 2. And then you'll see that it'll say, the name must be at least 16 characters or less and must contain only letters and code. But you can start to name your products. Okay. So I can put, I don't know, product 1, product 2. And then I can save, say okay, and go on to my next. And you'll start to see that it starts to provide you information for product 1 and product 2. And as you put information in, for example, how many units do you expect to sell? What's your net price that you expect to receive? What percentage do you think it's going to go up? What percentage do you think you're going to by volume or by price? It starts then being able to fill out these financials for you and tell you what the information is, right? So it's very user-friendly, right? So you can always go back and be like, oh, now I have 3 products, and go back and generate 3. One thing that it will do, it'll ask you, where are you getting the information? So you can start to put your assumptions in this box here so that okay, well, what am I, why do I think I'm going to go up in price? Or why do I think I'm going to go up in volume, right? So you start put your assumptions in there. I just wanted to show you what it looks like as you're going along in the financials because it looks a little bit different from the other portions where you didn't see yellow boxes. But here you'll start to see yellow boxes where you can actually change things.
Could you give an example of how granular people should be getting with this sort of thing and what sort of products people might be inputting?
Well, it could be any products, right? So you want the final number of products. So let's say you were doing, I guess it's on you how much detail you want to put in. It's if you're doing tomatoes, for example, you might want to say, well, product one is tomatoes, and I'm going to have this many tomatoes, right? So it's going to be if you have like 20 products, you might decide that that's too much, I would say. But it really depends on you. You can have up to 20 products and say, this is, I'm going to have tomatoes and celery and kale and this and the other. I think this is good in terms of thinking about business planning in general and thinking through some financials. I would not say that this is going to be like a great way to figure out your cash flow from month to month or for the season. I don't, this not doesn't take that the plan of like farm planning your financials. This is a good way of you saying, well, my business would be successful if I'm selling these many products at these prices and it's going to increase or decrease of the year. And this is the rough balance sheet and cash flow that I might have per year because this is not going to give you this month to month, particularly if you're starting your business where you've got month zero, where you're putting in a lot of money and investment, but nothing's coming in. And we always forget about that. That's not going to be reflected here, right? Because this is per year, not per month. And when you're starting a business, you're going to have these, I always call these months zero, where you're putting stuff on the ground, you've got investments in seed, all of those things, you're not generating any income. Well, that's not going to be reflected here in these financials. This would be like, what do I expect my expenses would be? What do I expect this would be? And then get an output to get an idea of what it could look like. So I don't want to get people to think that this is a good way of looking at your 5-year financials of like, I'm going to be increasing or not, or kind of best scenario, worst scenario, but it's not going to take the place of sitting down on an Excel spreadsheet and actually doing your month to month for your first season and as you're going along. So thanks for that question. Yeah, that's definitely not, this does not replace that. But it'll probably definitely give you the things you should be thinking about when you're doing your financials. Back to the main menu. And so again, that's what this looks like a little bit differently. And then the last thing you'll write is your executive summary, which is the last stage. But it's when you print out the business plan, it's the first thing that appears, right? Because usually the executive summary is the first thing you see in a business plan. So here it's the last because it's a summary of what you've been writing. But it'll appear first when you actually print out the business plan, when you generate the report. Let's see. I'll make sure I don't forget. I showed you this. Okay, and I talked about the report. I'm going to make sure my PowerPoint tells me like, what are the things that I might not have forgotten to talk about? Yeah, the one thing is that you might have different plans for different audiences. So for example, you might have a plan that's different for a banker, that is different for you at or an investor, or for your family and friends, or for yourself, right? So they might have different levels of detail and different things that you might be putting in a plan. So think about your audience as you're going through the plan and thinking that you can, copy it and do all of those things. You can go to My Business Plans up here, and it'll give you all of your different business plans. So I think it's very intuitive tool. Let's see if you forget. Again, we can't see your information. I know that sometimes people worry. And again, I cannot see your business plans. When you see your business plans here listed, you will be the only one that has it. But if you have a partner that is also going to be working on the plan, you guys can share the username and password, and you can have multiple people work on the business plan. So we've had that before where maybe we've had like the two people working in, or two people and maybe somebody that was helping them write a business plan or helping them through, and they also had the username and password. It's up to you. But you can have multiple people working on the business planner together. Just a great way if you're not at the same place to kind of separate people be working on the same plan. And that is it for me in terms of the business planner, at least in terms of the PowerPoint. Again, it's pretty easy to maneuver. It does always have explanations of like what you should be thinking of and where to go. When you go in, this is what you'll see. Now that you've all registered. So once you log in, you will see this, which is your business plans. And you'll be able to check mark to your new business plan. You'll be able to edit the cover sheet. You'll be able to copy it. You can delete it, although you don't need to. And then you'd go here to edit your plan, right? So after today, you just go here, edit your plan. And again, you'll get to your stages and your steps as you go along. You'll always, the generate report will always appear at the top of where all the steps are. And here is where you can edit your profile. So that would have your password, anything else that you would want to change. And then home just takes you to home, which is also your business plans. Any questions, concerns, comments?
Could you share sort of an overview of what are the things that would make a very successful business plan? Like what characteristics, how folks should be like going into this process?
Sure. So I think the most successful business plans, I would start out actually writing in bullet points as you go along, as you think about them. Sometimes the first thing to do is kind of do what I call is a mind dump into the plan of things you've thought through, and then go through it and then think about the process. So for me, the most successful business plans are those that know where the assumptions are coming from. So for example, a lot of times I hear, well, everybody's going to buy my product. Well, everybody's not your customer. Not even Coca-Cola has everybody as their customer, and they have a huge budget, right, to be able to advertise and promote, right? So to me, the most successful business plans are plans that actually state who the customer is that you believe is going to buy your product or buy from you your services. Could be products or services, with enough detail that you are able to do an advertising campaign if you were going to invest in that. So not just like, well, people that randomly come to the farmer's market or something like that, right? So you actually have enough detail on the people. Sometimes I'm like, well, close your eyes and visualize who your customer is going to be and start putting in the details and do what I would call is a persona, which is, sorry, I'm looking up because the thing is over there. So think about, I would say build a persona or two on the people that you believe are going to be your customers and that you sometimes are not your customer. That's also what I think is successful, is realizing that you yourself might not be the customer that you're selling to, and not to confound those two things. Then a successful business plan also has enough detail on the costs and expenses of how you actually are going to produce your product. And that you can actually produce it and manage your business in a way that's going to be successful. So it's basically having enough information about the customer, enough information about the product and the costs of it and what makes it unique, product or service, and your ability to actually manage your business in the way that's going to be successful. I think those are the three, things that make a business plan successful. There's a few that makes a business successful. But I think when people kind of when you don't give it enough thought of how those things will actually interact, then I think the business struggles because then you're doing it on the fly. So having that written down and writing it down in a business plan is the least expensive way to fail. Right? You haven't started yet. It's kind of thinking about if your business is kind of a destination and you've got a lot of exits that you can go as you're traveling along. A business plan is a way for you to route that travel and think about the exits that make sense and the ones that don't. So a lot of times as you start up a business, it's not lack of opportunity that a lot of times gets in the way, is the fact that people are unfocused and think go through all these different opportunities, right? So somebody says, "Oh, I think it would be great if you grew such and such and such." And you're like, well, that's a great idea. I have a couple customers asking me, well, how does that really fit with the products and service you're already doing? Is it giving you economies of scope or scale, right? Thinking about those exits. Well, business plan is a really great way of saying, well, if an opportunity comes where it fits within what I want my business to be, it's great. But if it doesn't, I'm going to pass on to that exit. I'm not going to stop at every exit, or every opportunity. So to me, that's a successful plan helps guide you to that destination. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
Well, that was great. There's also a request in the chat asking if you have an example of what a final report would look like what that Word document sort of looks like.
I don't think I have anything downloaded, but let me see if I think I'm still sharing my screen. So let me go and click on it. Let me move the little people box elsewhere there. And edit plan, generate report. Just going to download it. And this is what it looks like. Hopefully, let's see. Is that big enough? Can you see it okay? Perfect. So this would be the title page. You can see the Langenhoven Farms, the date, the information I inputted in that first page. And here, like I said, the table of contents. So you'll see the executive summary, long-term goals, business overview. So if you just generate a report and did nothing, this is what you're going to get. But I believe, see, the executive summary comes up, long-term goals, business overview, and because there's stuff in the box, it has these questions. So if you wanted to generate a report and you didn't want to put it in the box, you could generate and start writing your business plan right from the Word document as well. And let me see. Sorry, when I scroll, it makes me dizzy when I see other people scroll. So hopefully you can close your eyes and I'll tell you when to open them again. Here's what the financials look like. You'll see this statement of cash flows for the year, these capital investments, cash from financing. So the income statement and a break-even analysis. And then, yep, that's it. So that gives you an example in Word. And like I said, then you can change it as you wish as well, wordsmith, all of those things. We tried to make it as intuitive as possible and as useful as possible, so that it's really, again, that process that's really the important part of business planning. If you wrote nothing in the planner but just thought through some of those things, that's what we found in the research that actually propels you to actually start and move forward. That's the process that helps people have that confidence to say, yes, I'm going to invest in myself. Because really, in the end, it's your sweat, tears, and treasure that goes into your business. Yes, you may have a loan or things like that, but it's really investing in yourself and having the confidence to move forward that this process gives you.
We also have Christina dropped a comment in the chat, sort of asking if this way of thinking about um, the business plan is accurate, and it might just be easier for you to look at the chat,
Yeah,
Maria.
let me open the chat. Let me stop sharing now for a second, so I can get to the chat. Okay, is this accurate? Start with the brainwave writing and bullet points. Start clearly who the customer is to the point that you can do a marketing campaign. Build a persona for your target markets. Enough detail on the costs and expenses. Yes, that is accurate. That is what I said. Yes, thanks, Christina. Yes, definitely. I think because a lot of times you have a lot of information in your brain already. And as you're going through, don't sometimes that linear, the business, you have to have it linear because you have to have some type of process in the business planner. But a business plan isn't as linear, and that's why you can go back and forth. So you might be like, oh, I have tons of information about my customer, or I have tons of information about my products. So I'm going to go and do that portion. Oh, and now I've thought about something, so I'm going to move along. So that's okay to just be like, oh yeah, I have information. Before then you're saying, oh, I have to I'm going to research some more, right? Because it is an iterative process, business planning, not a linear process. And so what you produce is going to affect who you market affects how you produce and how much the costs are. It's iterative, and you're constantly learning, and it is very iterative. So you don't look at that linear process and think, oh, I have to go exactly as it's saying. Move around in the business planner as you're thinking through things.
And Christina, having too much information sounds like it's probably a decent problem to have. And I hope this helps you sort through that. Um, yeah. So we have about 6 minutes left, and uh, plenty of time for questions, of course. We also have a quick 3-question poll, that I'm wondering we could, before people start hopping off, maybe we could launch that. It's just asking your guys' feedback. It's really helpful, for me as we start doing more of these sort of webinars to see what worked and what didn't. So, oh, can I launch that as a co-host, or is that on you,
I'm
Maria?
not sure. I
Ah, here we go. I
good.
think.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna launch it, and this is anonymous. Did it pop up for folks?
Yep, it popped up for me.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is totally anonymous. Just helpful for us. Um,
And as you're doing, I'm putting another website on the chat. It's purdue.ag But if you put FamBiz in Purdue and Google it, it'll pop up too. It is the website for the Purdue Institute for Family Business, which I'm the director of. There's a lot of information there. The business planner's there. There's a lot of information planning, but there's also information on, strategic things for the business. If you're running a family business, you have a family business on family cohesion, estate planning and financial planning for succession as well, things to think about. So just wanted to let you all know that there's a lot of tools and information in that on that website.
and while people are answering, I mean, I think you've done a good job laying out sort of how this can help the individual think through the business and sort of guide the exits that you should or shouldn't take as you venture into your business. Um, Are there other applications for this? Like, why, can you share a little bit more about why it's important to have a business plan other than just like self-organization?
Well, if you want to get a loan from a bank, they can ask you for one. Just about any bank. I always think that the only people that don't ask you for that is friends, families, and fools. So, but it's also, it is self-organization, but it's also a great way for, if you use it appropriately, for you to think about what else do you want to get into. Um, you know, what are your, this is what I thought was going to happen, and this is what happened in the end. right? A lot of times for a small business in particular, it's a cash flow issue. Well, looking at what are your assumptions? That's why I said assumptions are important. What assumptions did I make that made me think that I was going to sell a lot or not enough? So a lot of times it's you make a lot of, particularly if you're, let's say, making a product, you might have a lot of sales, but you don't have the cash to actually produce it. So that sometimes be a problem.
Yeah, that was definitely a leading question. Because this is very important, especially if you're looking for loans or applying to certain grants or financial assistance through NRCS or the USDA generally.
Mhm.
So this is just generally a very good thing to have on hand.
Thank you all.